Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from India, and today I have another update to share with you regarding whether India is going to halt purchases of sanctioned Russian oil amid U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of tariffs on Russia's trading partners starting August 8th, which includes India. And this is all to do with whether Russia chooses not to secure a peace deal in the war in Ukraine. So take a look at this new report here on your screen. Indian officials refute claims of stopping purchases of Russian oil imports. Despite reports claiming that state owned refineries stopped buying Russian oil due to sanctions, sources from the Indian government clarify that purchases continue. Okay, so major update today coming out from India, and it looks like the Indian authorities are going to continue purchases of Russian oil, although just 2 days ago we heard reports that some of the major refiners out of India were actually going to be halting purchases of Russian oil. If you guys remember this report, it was on July 31st, 2025, just 2 days ago on Thursday. We had this report here from ViceGrad24. It says Indian refineries halt Russian oil purchases after Trump threats. India's state-owned oil refineries stopped importing Russian oil after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened 100% tariffs for cooperation with Russia. The suspension began this week, four industry sources told Reuters. Okay, so Reuters was reporting that just 2 days ago. Now we have a new report talking about this today. There's more information here just talking about some of these companies that were supposedly going to be moving away from purchasing Russian oil. They were actually going to be seeking oil from the Middle East and also West Africa. So we talked about that 2 days ago. Now I want to show you guys this new report coming out from Reuters again today, now stating that government sources out of India are indicating they're actually going to continue the purchasing of Russian oil and not stopping it. Here's a report today on Yahoo Finance, originally cited from Reuters today. It says India to maintain Russian oil imports despite Trump threats, government sources say. This is coming out today, August 2nd, 2025. And it says right here, India will keep purchasing oil from Russia despite U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of penalties. Two Indian government sources told Reuters on Saturday, not wishing to be identified due to the sensitivity of the matter. On top of the 25% tariff on India's exports to the U.S., Trump indicated in a Truth Social post last month that India would face additional penalties for purchases of Russian arms and oil. On Friday, Trump told reporters he had heard that India would no longer be buying oil from Russia. But the sources said there would be no immediate changes. These are long-term oil contracts, one of the sources said. It is not so simple to just stop buying overnight. Justifying India's oil purchases from Russia, a second source said India's imports of Russian grades have helped avoid a global surge in oil prices, which have remained subdued despite Western curbs on the Russian oil sector. So we can clearly see here that India is not going to stop purchases of Russian oil, and I'm very curious to see what China is going to do next. China hasn't really come out and said anything, really. All they really responded to in terms of Trump's threats here regarding tariffs is basically saying they'll do whatever's necessary to secure their sovereignty and protect their interests. So we don't really know how China's going to respond yet. But it says here, unlike Iranian and Venezuelan oil, Russian crude is not subject to direct sanctions, and India is buying it below the current price cap fixed by the European Union, the source said. New York Times also quoted two unnamed senior Indian officials on Saturday as saying there have been no change in Indian government policy. We talked about that early this morning. There was a report from the New York Times. So as Reuters and New York Times both reporting this today, top senior officials out of the Indian government indicating there's been no change to Indian government policy. They're going to continue the purchase of sanctioned Russian oil. It says here Indian government authorities did not respond to Reuters' request for official comment on its oil purchasing intentions. However, during a regular press briefing on Friday, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Randir Jaiswal, if I'm saying that right, said India has a steady and time-tested partnership with Russia. And he says, quote, on our energy sourcing requirements, we look at what is there available in the markets, what is there on offer, and also what is the prevailing global situation or circumstances, he said. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay, so we can clearly see here that the Indian government is not going to stop the purchases of Russian oil. They're going to continue this despite Trump's threats. So let's see what happens coming next week then. If India's not going to stop the purchases of Russian oil on top of China, I would assume what's coming next week is we're going to see these tariffs get slapped onto, for sure, these two countries, China and India, maybe even Brazil as well. And so far, even Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't appear to be fazed by this. So let's see what Trump decides to do next week. And as soon as we get more updates regarding the situation, I will share some more details with you guys at a later time. But I want to thank you very much for being here for today's update. Hope you guys all have a great day, and thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section, but that's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell, that way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.